I'd seen it 2 weeks ago, and I wasn't exactly sure what I thought of it. I always think this happens when you're close to the events and you're in the middle of them. They're never really depicted as you think they should be depicted. I thought it was a movie of extremes. I had a view that while there was an awful lot of prison staff violence in there, I think the film overdid the violence to some extent. And I think also that they picked the worst possible social situation in which the IRA killing in the film was carried out. It was carried out in an old people's home where a prison officer, a brutal man, but was nevertheless visiting his very ill mother. And I said to myself, they're trying to really pick the worst case scenario here and magnify it to relay or put across a certain message. Now, the interesting thing for me was the dialogue in the film between the priest and Bobby Sands. And in my view, the dialogue was manipulated in such a way that the priest actually won the argument, that rationality trumped reason, trumped the faith, yet Bobby continued on and was depicted by the priest in an argument that seemingly went unchallenged, that he was just a fanatic and he was seeking martyrdom. And it was a film of three parts. You had the opening scene, the violence, and then you had the dialogue, and then the hunger strike. And the hunger strike and the opening scenes were very, very silent. But I can't identify silence with the prison. In the prison, it was absolutely noisy all the time because people had nothing else to do and were locked up and they always talked. So it wasn't overly enamoured to the idea of the way in which it was depicted. And I also felt that even at the end, it made sort of the prison staff in the hospital appear, and this is the prison officers themselves, it made them appear as if there was only one decent one amongst them, and it was in fact him was showing any sort of decency, when in fact the hunger strikers themselves will tell you that perhaps with the exception of one prison officer in the hospital, the bulk of them, all of them but one, were decent human beings who were considered and did do their best to ease the position of the hunger strikers. So I wasn't really sure that Steve McQueen, who made the film, got into it in the way that I felt he should. But then he would probably argue he was using a bit of artistic license just to put a message. I just wondered at times what the message actually was.
And Anthony, when you speak of a film that at least was perceived as being sympathetic to the prisoners, I think of In the Name of the Father, which I thought was a fantastic film about Jerry Conlon, but is the story they use is the one very, very sympathetic prison officer is the one who's attacked brutally by the Republicans. It seems like there's always that you have to do something just to be safe.
I saw that film, and I remember the first time I seen it. I actually accompanied Ed Maloney to Dublin to watch it. We went to the premiere, and I had problems with that too. Again, probably been there. I think the best film that I have seen on it up until now, and I'll need to watch it again. I want to watch it also alongside Hunger, but I think you really have to go a long distance to get past Lawrence McShone and Brian Campbell, the late Brian Campbell's work on H3. I mean, that, in my view, was as close to the mark as I have seen it. And they were there, but not Brian wasn't there, but Brian later served time in prison. Lawrence McShone was there. Lawrence had served time, and he served time in hunger strike, and I was in the cell with Lawrence the night the first hunger strike ended, and Bobby Sands came into our cell to tell us that 1980 hunger strike was over. And I have, felt that the best shot depicted it in films has been really done by Lawrence in his film H3, him and Brian Campbell. And I think Hunger, in many ways, is trumped because of the fact that it receives awards and stuff. I still think H3 was a better film.
Henry, one final thing. I mean, with all the power talk about Sinn Fein and how much they control and how much money they have, they still can't seem to get one little part of the Long Cash prison made into some sort of reconciliation thing. They bend over backwards and almost ashamed to say that, no, it will not be a shrine to the IRA hunger strikers. We wanted like some South African thing. We don't want to really honor the men that died on hunger strike in 1981. I mean, you listen to Martin McGuinness. He said, well, we just want to make a museum out of it. And we had Eamon McCann on, and he says, we have a Bloody Sunday museum in Derry. We didn't have the government involved. We bought the building, and we portrayed it as we were there that day. Now, Sinn Fein is not even saying anything like that. They're begging the British government, please give us money so we can have a museum to our own people.
Well, I mean, I think the debacle over the future of the maze is very interesting. You know, they were going to build a, in quotation marks, national stadium there, which would house GAA, soccer, and rugby. That's not going to happen, even though that was what Sinn Fein wanted. And in many ways, I think that would have been a bad idea, because if you'd have had some sort of memorial to the hunger strikers there, and there's like 10,000 Northern Ireland fans going to Northern Ireland marching, the majority of them unionists, you can guess what's going to happen to the, you can guess what would happen to the memorial, you know. But I think there will be some kind of museum, but I think it'll be anodyne. I don't think you'll have any glorification of the people who died or whatever, or the prisoners who were there. I think it'll be a kind of a reconciliation centre. It'll be as anodyne and
it'll not be like Kilmaine in jail down in Dublin.
Oh yes, well there's a good analogy, or a good comparison or contrast rather. I think it will not be like Kilmaine in jail. You'll not be given tours of it. These were the lads were lined up against the wall, and you'll have crosses and Irish flags everywhere and stuff like that.
Yeah, and Anthony, any of your final thoughts? We only have 2 minutes left.
No, I mean, I just think the way the whole maze thing has been handled was again another one of these battles and jockey for power and position. I think from Sinn Féin's point of view, it matters not now where they got the maze or not. The point is that the memory of the people who were involved in that whole hunger strike has been completely undermined by what they've done politically. And to start messing about with the sort of physical geography of the place comes second to my estimation.
Just want to thank Anthony McIntyre and Henry McDonald, and hope we will get to see both of their books here. Thank you both very, very much. It's been a pleasure.